All right, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Josh, and today is week one of a 12-week marathon training block leading up to the City of Trees marathon here in Boise. And I like to do a little 5K time trial to check my fitness, see where my speed's at the beginning of each block. So that's what I'm doing out on the greenbelt. It's pretty hot. I think it's in the mid 80s right now, and I just got done with the Boise Trails Challenge. So I took about a month and was just doing slow hill running, like 11-minute mile pace average, that sort of stuff. Lots of elevation. And so I'm curious to see, did I get slower? Did I get faster? Did I stay the same over the last month? I, in June, set a new 5K PR at 16:57. So that's kind of the benchmark. And Jake's going to be biking alongside me, grabbing some footage today. But I want to hear predictions in the comments. What do you think? Slower, faster, or can I equal that today? So yeah, we'll get the warm up in and get to the 5K. You got any time prediction for me today?
Yeah, 13:40.
13:40. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, world record.
All right, serious though. 16:57, about 5 weeks ago.
Oh boy.
Slower, faster.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 17:06.
17:06. I'd take that today. We're rolling, dude.
Okay. All right.
You ready for it? I gotta get my thing.
Dude, I gotta get rolling.
Oh, it's hot, dude.
I gotta ratchet up. Ratchet up on this bad boy.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, so I am starting off the 5K time trial, and this is something, if you've been around the channel a little bit, you might notice that I like to do at the beginning of every single one of my training blocks. The reason for this is I like to have kind of these consistent standards to look back and measure just where my fitness is at. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to repeat similar workouts throughout a training block. And one of the things I like to do at the beginning is do kind of an all-out race effort 5K. And I recognize that really this is a training block for a marathon, and a marathon is quite a bit more than a 5K. It's over 8 times longer than a 5K. And so you might wonder, what does doing a fast 5K have anything to do with a marathon? Well, basically you can find different pacing charts online, and it'll tell you, hey, if you can run, this fast for a mile, this fast for a 5K, you should be able to do this fast for a 10K, for a half marathon, all the way up to a marathon. And while none of those are really perfect, I think one of the things that I find to be really helpful is when I'm doing interval sessions, I'm going to be doing them at different target paces. So I might be doing my 400-meter repeat workout at 5K pace. Well, what is 5K pace? And just having a 5K under my belt, a recent 5K under my belt, really is the best way to figure that out. So there are other workouts that I might do a tempo run. I might do some longer repeats, and I might do those at half marathon pace. Well, a half marathon is closer to a 5K or a 10K, right? Than a marathon. And so, even just having this one standard, using a pacing chart like that, you can kind of go up from there. And so, like I said in the intro of this video, I have a recent 5K race under my belt. Back in June, I did a local 5K and ran a PR 16:57, but I had been working towards that. I was doing race specific workouts, 5K specific work. I was doing a lot of 200-meter repeats, a lot of 400-meter repeats, a lot of stuff on the track. And really, I've taken the last 5 or 6 weeks off of any kind of speed work. So for me, this was also kind of a little bit of an experiment to see how quickly have I lost some of that speed. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video as well, today was a really, really hot day. And it was probably 85 degrees at the start of this run, maybe closer to 88, 89 at the end of it. A little bit of tree coverage at the beginning, but as you're going to see, I'm going to get out into these really exposed segments of the greenbelt, and it gets really, really hot. So, obviously it's not ideal race conditions. In fact, we've just had this heat wave in Boise over the last couple weeks where every single day is over 100 degrees. On this particular day, it got up to 104 degrees. And so I'm getting out there in the morning. I think it's about 9 a.m. when I started this run. But even at 7 a.m., even at 6 a.m., if I had got out really early, it still would have been 78, 79 degrees. And so I had actually planned on doing this 5K effort a few days earlier. And honestly, there's just never a good time. And so finally, it's 12 weeks out from the race, and I decided to just send it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to get my shoes on, get out the door, and get this 5K over with, regardless of how it went. So I went into this thing with really low or no expectations. My goal was, I'd love to PR in the City of Trees Marathon on October 12th. And to do that, I need to run under 247. I ran 247 and change, I think 247.22, something like that, at Boston earlier this spring. And it was a hot day that day, and that's a hilly course. And so I think really as long as I can match kind of my fitness and where I was at for that build, I should be able to run a PR at the City of Trees Marathon. That's in October. Temperature should be a lot cooler, and it's actually on the Boise River Greenbelt. And so it's on this same kind of stretch of Greenbelt. As you can see, there's really no hills. There's just kind of going down the tunnels, coming back up, a little bit of elevation. And here I come up on mile 1, and honestly, that's perfect. 5:29. If I could run that for 2 more miles, I'd be really stoked about today. That would get me to 17:0 something. Low 17s. I kind of anticipate, I kind of predict that, I can run probably a little bit slower than I ran that 5K target pace back in June, here near the end of July. I think I probably lost a little bit of speed. I've been doing the Boise Trails Challenge and just doing a lot of kind of slow power hiking, running, that sort of stuff. Really no pickups. I think the fastest that I've ran was one of my trail runs. I averaged 7:35 pace or something like that. So this last week, I hopped on the treadmill a little bit. I was doing some of my recovery days at 7:30 pace. But really, I haven't run that mile. 5:29 was the first sub-6 mile that I had ran in weeks. And so here, getting just over a mile, closer to a mile and a half. You might be able to tell, but I'm really starting to feel the heat coming under this tunnel, going back out of the tunnel, just starting to feel it. And I can tell at this point, okay, this is going to be a grind. This is going to be tough. My heart rate was pretty relaxed through that first mile. I think it averaged just over 160, which is kind of where I like to be all throughout a race. If I can stay in that 160 range, under 170, maybe, peaking out at 175. I know that's kind of an effort that I can sustain for a long period of time. But once I start creeping up there in the 180s, 190s, I know that I'm toast. And so at this point in time, I'm just trying to stay relaxed, just trying to keep that heart rate down. And I'm coming out from this tunnel, and I'm going to be crossing over a bridge to flip on the other side of the greenbelt. Here we actually cross over into Garden City just for a little bit before I head back on the other side of the greenbelt. But even this kind of workout, this kind of 5K time trial, all out sustained effort, is something I like to do. I think I'm going to do it 3 times in this training block. I just wrote out my training plan for the City of Trees Marathon. It's a 12-week plan. A few of the key workouts that I'm going to be doing, and I'm hopefully going to be filming and posting here on this channel, is 800-meter repeats. That's kind of my bread and butter. I did that a lot in the Boston build, so I'll start out with 8x800-meter repeats. That's kind of a key workout next week. I'll repeat that a few weeks later, 9x800-meter repeats, and I'm going to build to 10x800-meter repeats, which is the classic Yasso 800s. That's kind of a marathon predictor workout. I do 16 by 400 meter repeats. I do a few of those. And then outside of that, I'm doing some longer stuff, some 1 mile, 2 mile repeats. I think I've got a bunch of 10K tempo runs. So that tempo pace for me is just around half marathon pace, maybe a little bit slower, just really control, but a steady effort to get the heart rate up. And then outside of that, just doing some hills. That's one of the things that I really enjoy, doing the hills, getting the strength work. You don't max out in your speed, but you end up gaining a lot of power and a lot of strength from doing hill workouts. So here you see me once again, just trying to keep it all together as I'm getting closer and closer to that 2 mile mark. And when I'm looking down at my watch, I'm starting to hurt. So that's 5:44 for the second mile, and man, I fell off the pace hard that second mile. So you might be able to tell, but my cadence is slowed down and my stride, trying to stretch it out as much as I can, not to lose the speed. But 15 seconds slower on that second mile is just telling me, man, it's a hot day. I'm starting to struggle. My heart rate at this point in time is just climbing. I've gone from the low 160s all the way up. I'm looking down at my watch and I'm seeing 180. I'm seeing 190, and I'm like, man, this is painful. So at this point, I'm regretting not doing this on one of the cooler days, or at least, waking up at 5 a.m. and doing it before the sun's up, something like that. But I know that this is a key workout. Whether this goes great or whether it goes badly, really what this is giving me is information. And that is the goal of doing these core workouts is, you've got to kind of set your ego aside, set your pride aside, and say, really, I just want to know where I'm at. And at this point, I know really what this is telling me is I have lost some of that speed. Maybe I've got the strength from doing a lot of elevation, a lot of hills, but my fitness isn't quite there because I hadn't, all throughout the trails challenge, I hadn't been really getting my heart rate up, really stretching my aerobic system, and obviously I hadn't been doing any quick turnover type stuff. So, I might have been able to do 3 1 mile repeats at 5:20 pace, 5:29, maintain that 5:29 pace, but with no recovery, I'm really starting to feel it at this point in the time trial. So, ideally, if today went really well, I would have been sitting somewhere in the low 17s, under 17:10 would have been great. And that would kind of put me on a trajectory to be able to run a 2:45 marathon, which would be awesome. I'd say that would be my target goal for City of Trees is by this October, get my marathon time, set a new PR. Not looking for a crazy PR, not expecting to shave off tons of time, but if I could get down to 2:45, that is really what I would love to see this October for the City of Trees marathon. But as I come under this bridge, what you see is you can just see that I'm I don't know if you can tell by looking, but I'm starting to struggle quite a bit. I'm hurting. My heart rate is just going through the roof at this point, and I'm just thinking, okay, just hang on. You can see I'm looking down at my watch. I'm like, how much more do I have to go? I think at this point I have maybe around a half mile to go, and I'm thinking, all right, just stay smooth, stay relaxed. Getting a little bit worried that I might be over 18 minutes, which for me, based on kind of where I've been, my fitness and speed this summer, would be quite disappointing. But at this point, I know, all right, that low 17 benchmark, that's not going to happen today. So I'm readjusting my expectations, just trying to stay focused, trying to stay smooth, and just finish this thing strong. I know that in 3 weeks' time, maybe after the weather cools off, hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather cools off a little bit, mid-August, I'm going to give a 5K another crack, and hopefully I can have a much better day, right? I might prep a little bit better. I might wake up a little bit earlier, try to hydrate better, try to feel a little bit better. Today was just like, hey, I need to get this workout in. It's the start of the marathon block, and I'm just going to send it. I just need to put something on the board. And so that's really what today's time trial is about. Just get something on the board, set a benchmark, and then go from there. Use the paces that I find from today in my workouts over the next few weeks, and then go out there and rip another 5K mid-August and see how I do at that point. So for today, I wore my Endorphin Pro 3 shoes. I've raced a couple of marathons in those shoes. I really, really like them. The shoes I wore for Boston are the Endorphin Elites, and I'm trying not to use those for too many workouts, saving those for maybe getting one more key race. The foam, I believe, is just a little bit less resilient in those shoes, and I want to save those for race day. So I'll probably be doing a lot more key sessions in the Endorphin Pro 3s. I love these shoes. These are some of my favorite shoes that I've ever wore. They're carbon fiber plate. They have a really great responsive PEBA-based foam. I've got my Bandit Boston singlet, my Bandit half tights on, and here as I come through this little stretch, I'm getting close to the end of this time trial, and the sun is beating down, and there we go, 5:55. And to be honest, I'm just honestly just glad that I was under 6 minutes for that last mile. I was looking at my watch and it was saying like 6 minutes, 6:05, and I'm like, come on, and so, but you can tell I'm just dying. I'm fading here to run a 6:30 or a 5:30 for the first mile, and then a 5:55 right there, 26 seconds slower. I'm hurting, and I'm just praying for this thing to be over, and checking my watch. Am I there? I'm waiting to see 3.11, and that's the end of the time trial.
Oh! 17:47.
All right. Sub 18.
Not what I wanted, but it's what I got. Oh!
Day 1 of prep for October marathon, and I think 85 degrees. Not a bad first day.
All right, so that's a time trial done. 17:47. I think it's like 5:46 average. Shout out to Jake for biking with me. And yeah, I would say it went a little worse than expected. I was hoping to be in the low 17s. I thought I would be slower than a month ago or 6 weeks ago, but I think the heat and just honestly my lack of any kind of specific training means that I'm a bit slower. So a bit slower than I wanted to be, still a bit faster than I was at the beginning of my Boston marathon block. I ran, I think, a 1750 That'd be amazing if I ran a 1650. 1750 before I jumped into Boston marathon training. So City of Trees Marathon coming up October 12th. If you want to follow along this series, I'll be posting all the key workouts, weekly updates, all that sort of stuff. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.